Hello, everyone. Since I think it's international conference, I was planning to talk in English, so everyone understands. Yes, my name is Arnita Verza, and I'm a chief landscape architect for the city. And a lot of my work is connected with streets. So today, I wanted to talk about good streets. Good streets are the streets we actually want to stay in, right? So what makes them? So the largest public space in the city, the most used public space in the city, are streets. And it's where you experience the city. So public space is where you experience all these, vibrant and wonderful cities. So how we think about streets really matter. But experiences are created. They are designed. So we have to design good streets. As a city that's only for movement, is city people leave behind. And that's important to understand nowadays. So, how do we design streets, city, where people want to stay? Streets where people linger, connect, even play. And we can look at a good street that it consists of these sequences of spaces, a rhythm of a building, and a choreography of everyday use. And it's this everyday use that actually creates everyday life, right? Yes, but, and there's a but, for every street to become a good street, a place people choose to spend time, we need more than occasional inspiration, some project that, yes, we did great. We need a system. So we need a city-wide approach to quality for public space. And so it becomes an everyday standard, something that is a common knowledge, common understanding on how we design good streets. And when we talk about systematic approach, what we have for Riga is street design manual for Riga streets. And it's a framework and knowledge sharing of designing good streets. So what are the signs of good streets? What are the roles of the streets? Who uses streets? And what do they need? And there is this new way of looking at Riga streets, and not only from an aspect of movement, of traffic, it's also from an aspect of city life, so urban activity. And it's the balance that we need to find, right? And so we have 3 levels for both aspects, from traffic intensity and for urban activity. And combining them, we get 9 types. For every type, there is defined qualities for traffic intensity and urban activity. And then we give priorities that has to be put into this type of street. And if that is applied, we get good streets. We will design a good street. But of course, there are many aspects and variables when it comes to streets. And one of them, and very important, is width. Because that most probably is something that does not allow us to put everything in a street, right? So the guideline also gives us scenarios how to put these priorities for every type, starting with the narrowest street, and what adds on. Who do we give that extra space whenever the street gets wider for any type? We also have defined principles and parameters for good street design, and principles like continuous sidewalk, not cluttered sidewalks, unobstructed sidewalks, so everything's in an orderly manner. We give precise measurements, minimal measurements for these priority zones, like amenities, greenery, also for driveways. So so we can practically put these priorities into designing the street. And also we go to such detail as how do we place the elements? What has to be taken into consideration when placing elements in the street? And that brings me to my next point. And this is very important and so many times overlooked. And it's the grand meaning of small details. The art of designing good street lies in attention to detail. Because for the user, the real value of the street lies in these details. It's the paving underfoot, it's the comfort of the bench, it's the quality of the shade. These subtle differences, almost invisible, differ and determine whether a street is just a route or a place to stay. So it is this accumulation of seemingly small details and small decisions that adds up to a significant experience. And how do we work with details? So the next addition for our guidelines is the detailing of street flooring. And there we talk about materials, what materials to use, how to use them, why to use them. Also considering different situations in the street space, like bus stops, traffic calming measures, all of that in very, very detailed manner. We also talk about tactile paving. So it actually becomes a system users can rely on and use in real life, and it's not done just for the tick. And also, we're working on the design for elements, setting standard for that. So when I said about these seemingly small decisions, it really means that from the surface, it seems like a small decision, it's just a bench. But actually, for public sector especially, there is a huge amount of questions that has to be answered for picking the right bench. So it's comfortable, it's beautiful, but also it's functional, and since it's a long-term investment, what is the cost of maintenance? How easy will it be maintained? What are the strength of materials? And so on and so on. So this is also something that brings our attention to details. And saying all of that, my last point, and most probably the most important, that kind of answers the question, what makes good streets? It's the factor of collaboration. Even the best system is only as strong as the team behind it. So without collaboration, without willingness, all of us to collaborate, it's not happening. It's going to stay as nice visions on papers, or mostly digital, that will never be actually implemented in the streets, that will actually never going to be created as good streets. So, since there are so many users in creating streets, right? There are planners, there are architects, landscape architects, engineers, and communities, and maintenance teams, and so on. For us to have good streets, all of us have to be involved, and all of us have to also take part of the responsibility in creating good streets. Thank you.